Now. This is the first hadith in the chapter of fasting. This hadith, Bukhari and Muslim both narrated. And there is something I never mentioned about this book. The unique thing about this book is, even that though it's a hadithul ahkam, that it talks about hadiths regarding and pertaining to jurisprudent rulings, all of the hadiths that he mentions in this book are Bukhari and Muslim. And some places where the author does mistakes, the hadiths are either one of the two. It's either one of the two. In other words, every single hadith in Umdatul Ahkam are all authentic. There is not one narration that's weak. So all of these ahadiths that we're taking are in Bukhari and Muslim. What are they? Fi Sahihaini, Bukhari and Muslim. But sometimes the wording that he picks can either be the wording of Bukhari or it can be the wording of Muslim. Like this hadith, for instance, the wording that he chose is the wording of Muslim. The wording is the wording of Muslim. But the hadith is in Bukhari, but not in that same wording. Okay? It is not. The hadith says, لا تقدموا رمضان. لا تقدموا, it means don't go before. It used to be لا تتقدموا in the Arabic language. It used to be لا تتقدموا. فحذفت إحدى التائين. One of the two ta's got taken out من باب التخفيف, to make it easy for the people to say it. It used to be لا تتقدموا, but one ta got dropped, so it becomes easy for the people to say it. So instead of saying لا تتقدم, لا تتقدموا, you just say لا تقدموا with one ta. And it's like the ayah, ولا تيمموا الخبيث ولا تيمموا الخبيث. It's meant to be ولا تتيمموا الخبيث. One of the tats got dropped, and it's from min bab al-takhfif. Why is it called Ramadan? What does it say? لا تتقدموا رمضان. Don't go before Ramadan. What does the word Ramadan mean? The word Ramadan, it comes from the word al-ramda, and al-ramda is the pebbles. When the heat hits it so much, Ramadan comes from the heat and the thirst that the person goes through in the fasting. Are we all together, brothers? The pebbles, when it's out in the day and the sun hits it, it becomes hot. Ramadan was named after that because of the thirst and the hunger that the person goes through, that burning heat inside the person. The hadith, it says, لا تتقدموا أما لا تقدموا رمضان. Don't go before Ramadan. بصوم يوم ولا يومين. Don't fast 1 or 2 days before Ramadan. For example, today, Ramadan can either be in 2 more days. You're not allowed to fast today. You're not allowed to fast. Or tomorrow, you're not allowed to fast. You're not allowed to fast. It's prohibited. Here it says, لا تقدموا رمضان بصوم يوم ولا يومين. Okay, ولا يومين. There's another wording which says, أو يومين, or 2 days. It says أو. And some people thought it's one of the two that you can't do. There's another wording by Bukhari which says أو يومين, or 2 days. And so they thought it meant one of the two you can't do. They use the O as lit-tanwir. Okay, that's incorrect. It means that you can't do 2 or 1 day before Ramadan. You're not allowed to do it. Ramadan's about to enter, it's close. 2 days before Ramadan, you're not allowed to fast. Or 1 day before Ramadan, you're not allowed to fast. إِلَّا رَجُلٌ, except a man. كَانَ يَصُومُ صَوْمًا فَلْيَصُمْهُ. Except a man who used to fast. he had a particular fasting that he used to do. He used to fast Mondays and Thursdays, or he used to fast the 3 days of every month. And apparently, some of you might think to yourself, the 3 days, isn't it Ayyamul Bayd? There's a difference of opinion regarding that. We'll come to that soon, inshallah. So he fasts anyways, or he used to fast the fasting of Nabillahi Dawood. Dawood what? كَانَ يَصُومُ يَوْمًا وَيُفْطِرُ يَوْمًا. Dawood would fast one day, he would take a rest the day after, and then he would fast again. So what happened was, it came on those 2 or 1 day before Ramadan, it hit it. You can fast, no problem. You're allowed to. You're an exception. You are a what? You're an exception. Because the Prophet said, إِلَّا رَجُلٌ, except a man, كَانَ يَصُومُ يَوْمًا فَلْيَصُمْهُ. The benefits that we take from the hadith. We take 5 benefits from the hadith. 5 benefits that we take from the hadith. Number 1, that we're prohibited and that we're not allowed to fast a day or 2 before Ramadan. We're not allowed to. For one of these 2 reasons. Anything other than these 2 reasons, you are allowed to fast. Number 1, if you do it for any of these 2, you're not allowed to fast. You are not permitted to fast. If your intention of fasting 1 or 2 days before Ramadan is one of these intentions, then you're prohibited from it. You're not allowed to do it. Is al-ihtiyat. You're doing it because you want to be on the safe side. You're scared that the people might get it wrong. You're like, I want to be on the safe side. If I start fasting 2 days before Ramadan, I'm not going to miss Ramadan. No, don't do that. You're not allowed to. Or if you're doing it بِقَصْدِ التَّطَوُّعِ, you just want to do a voluntary act on the 2 days before Ramadan. You are not a person who used to do this voluntary. You randomly want to do it 2 days before Ramadan or 1 day before Ramadan. Randomly. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to do that. You're prohibited from it. It is haram. If you do it, you're sinning. You are sinning. But if you fast, which is the second benefit that we take from the hadith, which is the second benefit is that anyone who had a routine. You had a routine. I used to fast Mondays and Thursdays in the whole entire year. And apparently it happened before 2 days of Ramadan or 1 day before Ramadan. Or you used to fast the fasting of Dawood. Then you are permitted to fast 1 or 2 days before Ramadan. No problem. You are permitted. Also, a person is fasting a fasting of nadhr. 1 or 2 days before Ramadan. He is also allowed. Or a person is fasting kafara, an expiation. Then they're allowed to fast 1 or 2 days before Ramadan. Or a person is fasting to pay back Ramadan for last year. Last year. Ramadan that you missed, you're paying it back for this Ramadan. 1 or 2 days before Ramadan, you're allowed to as well. All of those are allowed. But other than that is not allowed. The third benefit that we take from the hadith is, the scholars, they researched. What was the reason? What is the hikmah? What is the wisdom in why we are not allowed to fast 1 or 2 days before Ramadan? What's the reason? Scholars, they researched. They looked into it. Okay? By the way, as a side benefit, the reasons why things are prohibited in the Sharia are 2 types. When it comes to the reason of why something is haram in the Sharia, it comes in 2 forms. It comes in 2 ways. The first one is that the Sharia will tell you why it made it haram. The reasoning is mansoos. It is textually stated. The Sharia will say to you, you are not allowed to drink khamar because it intoxicates your mind. It told you why. You know why drinking khamar is haram. Because it what? Is because it intoxicates. This is mansoos. it is textually stated. We don't need to ask anyone. The Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam. Are we all together? The second type is the reason why something was made haram is not stated. The Quran did not state it, nor did the Sunnah state it. So the scholars will go out of their way and they will research and they will look and they will try to find the wisdom of why it was prohibited. This is called mustanbata. The illah is either mansus or it's mustanbata. The mansus means the Quran and the Sunnah explain it and tell us why, like the khamar, it being an intoxicating, was stated by the Quran and the Sunnah. The second one is mustanbata. The scholars will go out of their way and they will look for the wisdom and the reason in why something was made haram. So here, why was the fasting of 2 days, 1 day before Ramadan, why was it made haram? The scholars, they researched because they couldn't find a hadith that states it. They researched and they came with two main reasons. And again, I said two main reasons. They're not the only reasons, by the way, but two main reasons. So the scholars, they mentioned two main reasons. The first reason they said is تمييز فرائض العبادات عن نوافلها, to distinguish the obligatory from the voluntary. If you fast 1 or 2 days before Ramadan and you do it intentionally to do a voluntary before Ramadan, randomly, then you're not distinguishing the obligatory from the voluntary. Are we all together? Ramadan will enter and you are fasting already. There's no distinguishing thing from the obligatory and the voluntary. That one doesn't seem strong. The reason why? Because the one who's fasting Mondays and Thursdays was allowed. Not true? Sah? Was he not allowed? The one who fasts Monday, Thursday was allowed. And that will cause the voluntary and the obligatory to come together, right? So that wouldn't be a good reason. The better reason is the hukm al-siyam, the fasting of Ramadan is connected to ru'yatul hilali, the sighting of the moon. And if a person fasts those days just like that, they really dismiss a ruling which is ru'yatul hilal, the sighting of the moon and the rulings that are regarding it. It won't have no value then if a person could just randomly fast a day or two before it. What value does it hold? We don't need to, we just have to fast 1 or 2 days before it. And that's it, we'll catch up with Ramadan anyways. Are we all together, brothers? So the sighting of the moon is a hukum shar'i, it's a jurisprudent ruling. And that can't be attained unless it, what? You distinguish the two from one another. And that's the view Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani chose in Fath al-Bari. Ibn Hajar chose the second point. The fourth benefit that we take from the hadith is how the Sharia, it sets boundaries for things. Our religion is not like everybody do as you wish and as you want. There's boundaries. There are what? There are boundaries. And so Ramadan has a starting point, and Shawwal has and Sha'ban, everything's set. The fifth benefit that we take from this hadith is the permissibility of saying Ramadan and not Shahru Ramadan. That is permissible for you to just say Ramadan. Some of the scholars are of the opinion that you can't say Ramadan. They said you have to say what? Shahru Ramadan. You have to add the word Shahr, the month of Ramadan. You can't just say Ramadan like that. This hadith is a response to them. This hadith proves otherwise. Those are the 5 benefits that we take from the hadith now.